Do not speak over one another. At this time, I will ask if there are any comments from the audience on either agenda or non-agenda items. I understand we have none.
The board bylaws number 9323. For board bylaws 9323, a person wishing to be heard by the board shall first be recognized by the president and shall then proceed to comment as briefly as the subject permits. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes.
I'd also like to remind everyone that the board shall take no action or have discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda except authorized by law. Superintendent Castro? The board has recommended that we have our flag salute at least before we go into closed session. Is that my understanding?
Yes.
So at this time, do we amend the agenda now or do we wait till later?
We have the understanding, we have a consensus to move it, so when we do the approval of the agenda, it will have to be as amended.
All right, thank you. So we're going to move forward. To item 3.02.
So at this time, I would like to welcome FDR. I see a lot of representatives out there, and we have a very special guest with us. She is a fifth grader at FDR school, and I'd like to introduce her. Her name is Madison Farmer, and ask her principal to come up and join her at the podium. Miss Jenny Whitaker.
Highlight a few things about Madison.
Just wanted to highlight a few things about the lovely Madison Farmer. I want to share what your teacher shared about you. Ms. Mungia shared that she is a responsible, hardworking, and determined fifth grade student. She takes pride in her learning. She consistently asks questions. She strives for excellence, and she serves as a role model for her peers. Now, beyond the classroom, Madison demonstrates strong leadership qualities. She's an active member of our student leadership team, FDR's ROAR team, and the RISE program. So Madison, please lead us in the flag salute.
Good afternoon, board members, superintendent, and guests. My name is Madison Farmer, and I am a proud fifth grade student at FDR Elementary School. It is an honor to be here today and to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good job. Madison? Could I meet you here in the center of the room that we call the well, I believe? Is there a pencil that goes with it?
No. Well.
Okay, thank you. So Madison, on behalf of the board and the cabinet, we'd like to present to you this book. It has a bookmark. It's signed by all of us here in this room. And there's going to be a pencil that comes with it, and it's a story about our flag. You're welcome. So now we're going to take some photos. Mom, do you want to take a picture? Mom, we'll get you in here in just a minute. Okay, no problem. Mom, would you like to join us in this photo? Good God. What's the name? Oh. Nobody puts Denise in the corner. Wait, you can tell me what movie that's from? Thank you, Kathy. Okay, Superintendent Castro? Is that the pleasure of the board to move into closed session? Thank you. The board will move into closed session for the purposes of Personnel Matters Governance Code 54957.1, Public Employees Discipline, Release, Dismissal, Leaves of Absence, Resignations under Governance Code Sections 44930 and 44988, and litigation potentially anticipated under Governance Code 54956.9 at 5:07. We'll be right back. The Lawndale Elementary School Board will come back into open session. We left closed session at 5:36 and we took a few-minute break. In closed session, the board discussed the following citations: Personnel Matters Governance Code 54957.1, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release Governance Code, Leaves of Absence, Resignations Governance Code Sections 44930 through 44988, and lastly, Anticipated Litigation Governance Code 54956.9. Roll call.
Members of the board, President Bonnie Coronado,
Here.
Clerk Shirley Rudolph,
Here.
Trustee Kathy Burris,
Here.
Trustee Ann Phillips, Trustee Eddie Morales,
Present.
Cabinet Virginia Castro is here, Assistant Superintendent Lisa Cooper, Assistant Superintendent Howard Ho, and Assistant Superintendent Tracy Pamilia. We have 20 in-person guests, 5 via YouTube and 0 on Zoom.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as amended.
Second.
On a motion by Superintendent, not yet, Ann. On a motion by Trustee Phillips, seconded by Trustee Morales, to approve the agenda as amended. Any comments, questions, or discussion from the board? At this time, please vote on your device. Give me a sec, Lisa. Motion carries 5-0. Superintendent Castro, we have no expulsions or readmissions, correct? I'm so sorry. We are at number 4, communication. Superintendent Castro.
Thank you, President Coronado. I'd like to welcome our Franklin Delano Roosevelt team. Elementary school is here to present a school spotlight. So, Ms. Whitaker, would you like to come up and introduce your fabulous school?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Good evening, President Coronado, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Castro, and Cabinet members. I'm just excited that we have the spotlight today because we get to share some of the fantastic work that we've been doing at FDR. And I have alongside me my amazing Assistant Principal, Jessica Huff. And I also have co-presenters with me. I have the lovely Wendy Howard, 5th grade teacher, our social workers, Kieselyn Michael and Vanessa Clark. We have Monica Ortega, who is our social worker intern, and Andrea Clark, who is our ELERT. We also have some FDR Tigers here that we will be spotlighting to showcase the work we've been doing and how it directly impacts students. We have Kaydel Gomez, who's in the 3rd grade, Brian Barrios Delgado, who's in the 5th grade, and Madison Farmer, who is in the 5th grade. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. I believe this works. No?
Fingers crossed.
Okay, there we go. So that was a slide to introduce everyone. And those are our students hard at work. And so, of course, all of the work we do is grounded in our 4 district goals: increasing academic achievement, access and equity for our students, parent and student engagement, and 21st century learning environments. So I'm going to hop into it. And I want to show you some of these pictures. You'll see our data walls, you'll see the data cards, you'll see Plory. We had the privilege of having the iReady Plory mascot come celebrate our growth. And I am going to now introduce Miss Wendy Howard, who will talk briefly about what that looks like.
Yes. So, hello, good evening. That is me right there in the picture, masked. And I'm meeting with my student one-on-one to discuss her iReady data. So I do meet with all 32 of my 5th graders whenever we take an iReady. And we start with beginning the school year, and there's one, and then so there's about 3 throughout the school year. And I meet with them one-on-one to show their growth and how much more they can make. And that's me having a one-on-one conversation with them, both in math and also in reading. We also take the same data and then we form our RTI, our response to intervention. And during that time, that is how all of us in our school form our small groups for both the language arts, specifically reading comprehension, and also for mathematics in, certain standards of mathematics. And that's how we form that's why you see a small group instruction and you see pictures of how those small group instructions are being run in the classroom. Thank you.
And now we'll have a student speak to his experience. Brian, can you please come forward?
So, welcome. Thank you for being here. And I think I'm doing pretty good in school because my parents have always been there for me. I've had teachers who have helped me boost my intelligence. I feel like they're always there for me. It's never scary for me to ask a question if I don't understand something. If you're curious about something, ask a question about it, because curiosity will stay. I always liked reading, looking at words, trying to pronounce them. It helped me make a goal to get better at English. When I was in the first grade, I took the LPAC, and that's where I passed. I just felt like I had done something special. I worked hard and did my best. I was proud for myself passing the test. Also, I think iReady helps you more because it's not just the teachers doing the work to teach you. iReady is there to support you. Every day we do at least 20 minutes of practice. When you learn something new like the guitar, your fingers may hurt from the pressure. But then, the more you practice, the more you get used to it and you start making music. I can relate that to iReady because when you're learning a new word, you have to learn how to pronunciate it. And if you don't know how to do that, practice because it will help. Then you'll get better at it every time and just say it fluently.
Okay, so now we're going to go into goal number 2, and this is ensuring equity and access. And what we're going to highlight today is our newcomers. So I have with us today, Vanessa Clark, our ELERT, our social worker, Andrea Carr, and our social worker intern that are going to speak briefly about what that work looks like.
Good evening, everyone. I am Vanessa Clark. I'm one of the social workers at FDR. So I just wanted to introduce and highlight one of the great programs that we are starting to launch at FDR. We actually started to do this last year with my colleague, Ms. Carr. I apologize. Thank you. So Ms. Carr and we started noticing that a lot of our work was overlapping when we would receive a lot of families coming in from different parts of the world. We had a rise in families coming in from South America and Central America last year. So as part of collaborative work, we actually teamed up and we created newcomer parent assessments. And as soon as we received emails from our office manager that we were receiving a new student from a certain country, we would welcome them so that they knew who we were immediately. We introduced ourselves, we gave them a warm reception. We obtained a lot of information through our needs assessment. My piece was a social emotional piece, services, resources, linkage. My colleague, Ms. Carr, identified a lot of the academic resources that were in place, and it was done intentionally to close the learning gaps of our newcomer students. I would go into the classes and teach second step bilingual so our students understood. Our intern, Ms. Monica Ortega, actually sat with one of our newcomers, Kidel Gomez, who's present here, to help her understand the homework that was being given to her so that she can actively participate and engage in her classes. Through those assessments, we mobilized all systems and supports. We collaborated with our in-house teams and community partnerships to identify the resources necessary for our families to feel welcomed. We're still doing that today, and we had over about 20 of them done last year. I'm going to introduce my colleague, Ms. Carr, who's going to talk a little bit about Newcomer Academy.
Good evening. Thank you, Vanessa. So my side is the educational support for our newcomer students. We have a Newcomer Academy at FDR. We meet in the mornings. This year, we're meeting 3 days a week. Last year, we were meeting 5 days a week. And I have some instructional assistants who work with me as well so that we were able to work with the students in small groups And we help them with foundational skills so that they can catch up quickly, learning to read, learning to write, also social and academic English, lots of opportunities for speaking together so that they're in a group with other students and they feel more comfortable. They are able to make friends in that group, and then they're more comfortable when they go back into the classroom. They can begin to access the instruction. Also, LPAC is a long, can be scary test, so we do some LPAC practice in the class so that they're familiar with it and they feel comfortable. Also, we've been working with Dr. Kane on our Summer Newcomer Academy. So our student, Kadel, she was able to participate in Newcomer Academy since her arrival last year in October. And then she did also do the Summer Newcomer Academy. So I'm going to let Kadel speak for herself. I'd like to introduce Miss Kadel Gomez. She is a second grader. Sorry, third grader.
Para que puedas cuando decir. Adel Gomez, I'm a third grade at FDR Elementary School. When I came to this school, I felt sorry because I didn't understand my teacher and other students. Then I started going to English classes before school. They taught me a lot of English. Now I can talk with my teacher and other students. Now I feel very happy. When I grow up, I want to speak a lot of English and to be a doctor and a famous singer. Thank you for listening.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to say something as a parent? She'll be very brief. She just wants to share her experience as a parent, and I'll have Mrs. Carr translate.
Hola, buenas noches a todos. Yo quería agradecerles a todos los de la escuela
Good evening, everybody. I want to say thank you to everybody.
por el apoyo que le han dado a mi niña.
She wants to thank everybody from FDR for the support that we've given to Kadel.
Cuando yo acababa de venir aquí, la maestra Miss Carr
When I first arrived here, Miss Carr,
y la
Miss Clark,
Miss Clark, me ayudaron bastante porque nosotros no sabíamos cómo integrarnos a la escuela y ellas amablemente nos ayudaron.
so Miss Clark and Miss Carr helped us a lot because we didn't know how to integrate ourselves into the school, but they helped us.
También nos apoyaron con mochilas mochila para ella, para mi nene y también amablemente nos ingresaron al programa de rap.
They helped us to get shoes and to get a backpack for my daughter, and they also helped us to get into the rap program after school.
Y ellas han alentado, apoyado, impulsado a mi nena a aprender el inglés y la han ayudado mucho y pues gracias a ellos pues mi nena ya ha avanzado mucho.
They encouraged and inspired and supported my daughter in learning English, and because of her, she's learned a lot of English, and I'm very grateful.
Y muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to jump into goal number 3, and I have Miss Michael who's going to share information about our Black Scholars Rise program and our ROAR team.
Good evening. Again, I'm Keeslyn Michael, one of the 2 proud social workers at FDR Elementary, and I'm here to highlight the leadership skills we've been able to cultivate with our students through our leadership programs, which are ROAR, the ROAR team, and also RISE. ROAR team is for the 5th grade students, and RISE are for 4th and 5th graders who identify as African American, Black, or anywhere from the Africa diaspora. I've been working with these groups 9 years and 6 years respectively, And these are the spaces where our students feel seen, heard, and can flourish. And we're so proud of them. So the Roar team, my fifth graders, and the Rise Scholars, fourth and fifth graders. And also we have Madison, who represents both of those. She's in part of Rise. This is her second year, and she's also a Roar leader. And I believe it's time for her to come up and make her speech.
When I'm at FDR, I don't think of FDR as a place to learn. I think of FDR like another home. When I first came here, I was nervous and I went to the wrong classroom. It was terrifying. There was a friendlier older student who led me to where I needed to be, room 10, Miss Chain's class. Her teaching helped me grow a lot that year. During the next year, I moved on to third grade, where I had another amazing teacher who really paid attention to me and helped me master my multiplication. And during the last 2 years, I had additional extraordinary teachers who really made me feel special and a part of my classroom community. Also, during these last years at FDR, I have been able to join Rise Black Scholars Program and become a school leader as a Roar team member. Being a Rise member helped me gain so much confidence. It makes me feel like I truly belong here. We talk about leadership, friendship, and sometimes we read. We are reading a book called The Watsons Go to Birmingham by Christopher Curtis. As a Black student, I am glad I am the race that I am. Being a Roar team member feels like being a leader. I teach kids that are younger than me to stand up for themselves and to be brave. I help with assemblies for kids who remember to be a friend, which is one of our values. FDR is a place that has definitely helped me develop leadership skills and pride in who I am as a student here. I will never forget all the amazing people and teachers of FDR.
All right. And so goal number 4, 21st century learning environments. Ms. Huff is going to speak briefly about Makerspace.
Good evening. So Makerspace is a place where everyone from our youngest Tiger Cubs through our oldest in 5th grade can engage in hands-on problem solving through the engineering process while working on critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration skills. 2 of our students have stated that Makerspace, we get to discover how we can grow our imaginations. A 3rd grader said, "I love in Makerspace how we get to code and figure out how things work." And there you see some of our students working on different kits. They work on everything from Lego kits to Cava planks, marble runs, and all different materials where they can engage in engineering.
And we're going to wrap up. Just want to point out that we were so fortunate to have SMOA part of our school yesterday, and they did an amazing activity. Of course, they moved from El Segundo to Lawndale, and our kids just had a lot of fun exploring the literacy piece, which is Love is Loud, and then doing some of the work and creating keepsake items for themselves. And some school highlights, just some of our upcoming events, of course, continue to partner with RAP. You'll see our affinity spaces are back. We have a family night coming up for PE, our family fitness night, and for the family night for our Black History Month. And that is, the future has yet to be unfolded. We still have work to do. We have professional learning communities that we're still going to continue, data walls. We're going to continue the work that we're doing with supporting our students in good tier 1 instruction, interventions, enrichment, MTSS tiered support, and there will be a focus on literacy. Please let us know if you have any questions, and thank you so much for giving us the moment to shine. We appreciate it.
Thank you so very, very, very much. Would the board like to make any comments or ask any questions? I see no light. I see no lights. Trustee Burns?
I was like, wait a minute, my lights.
Yes, questions?
First of all, I want to get up and bow to you guys. You're doing a fabulous job.
Thank
All
you.
the students, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed, and you make everything worthwhile. And I just want to thank your beautiful principal here for all the hard work they've done.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you guys. That's gonna make me cry.
It has also made me very aware that I'm glad we started iReady. Obviously, it seems to be working. I really liked your newcomer academy, the before and afters, the before and during summer, correct? Was that
Correct.
right? That's awesome because our newcomers, we don't want them to feel left out
No.
in any way, shape, or form. And I think all of our schools are doing something to that effect, and it's just so good to hear it again.
Yes.
And make sure that and I love the rise and roar. That is awesome. And you're living proof that it's working.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you, you are awesome. And the makerspace at every school we've been to, the makerspaces are always amazing. And what these little minds can soak up is truly wonderful. And I just want to thank you guys for coming and giving us this little highlight. I truly enjoy these. This is our second one, and Superintendent Castro, I absolutely love these little highlights. So great to hear from you guys. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. And I don't do this work alone. I got a whole team, right? I have amazing teachers. Yes. Any other questions?
Thank you, trustee Burris. Trustee Morales?
I have always said that, students are the ones that, really show and tell the truth about what's going on in our schools. They are the ones that come home and share, what they learn in school. Your presentation is great. But I think just having the students here and speak for, about the things that are going on at FDR says a lot about, the true meaning of being a great teacher, being great administrators, and having a lot of great parents supporting them all the way.
Yes.
I'm like super impressed with the young lady, what's her name?
Madison?
Both of
Oh,
them,
no,
all
Cadell.
three of them,
Cadell?
actually, but the newcomer, it's because sometimes we don't understand how difficult it is, to come into a new country. I was a newcomer once, and I know how shocking it is culturally, the language barrier and the way of living, the way of doing things, and it takes time to really feel like you belong in it, and it hasn't taken her that long, and that's because you have great support, great staff that really cares about each and every one of the students. I love what Miss Farmer said about feeling at home. Because that's something that, for a long time, especially with the African American students, did not feel like that. And to hear that tonight says a lot about, the support that we're giving to each and every student. Doesn't matter where you come from, who you are. They're all children, they all want to learn, they all want to feel welcome, that they belong in a place, and you all making that happen. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Everything we do is very deliberate and intentional. I'm just proud of the fruits of our labor. And it is a collaborative effort. So I truly appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Muchas gracias por las bonitas palabras que dio en español también. Que una padre venga y diga algo tan positivo de nuestra escuela, de nuestras escuelas, de esa escuela donde va su niña, dice lo bastante que las personas que trabajan ahí hacen por su niña y por los demás estudiantes. Y el estar aquí enfrente de todos nosotros es un poquito de nervios, pero sus palabras de verdad traen mucho aliento a que todos los demás hagamos mejor todavía.
Trustee Morales, could you translate what you just said?
Oh, wow, that would be a lot.
I can help you a little bit.
Well, I just told her that I'm proud of her as well, you know, just coming in and telling us all the wonderful things that are going on at FDR. Shows that how much, again, the staff is doing, you know, for each and every student at that school. And, you know, the words coming up from a parent and the words of positiveness, you know, and encouragement, it just makes us, you know, be happy, smile, and work harder.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Superintendent Castro, anything else? Oh, I apologize. Trustee Phillips, thank you, ma'am. To the staff members, thank you. Thank you for the dedication to our students. Thank you for addressing their needs. Thank you for the data wall so that you make sure the kids do not fall between the cracks. I had 3 of my children go through Roosevelt. See, I still call it Roosevelt. Many years ago. So I know the outlay, but I'll tell you, it's much improved since my children went there. You've done a lot of improvements there. To the children, it's difficult to stand up in front of the class, much less in front of these people up here. So I give you all credit, especially when you're so young that your feet don't even touch the ground when you're sitting down. Yeah, she's looking. Oh, you must be talking about me. And really, truly, as a newcomer to do this in a second language is extremely, I don't know, it's great that you're doing that. To Madison, I hope you keep up your spirit all the way through junior high, high school, and college. You're going to be something to be reckoned with when you're an adult. Absolutely wonderful. But there was one word, and Mr. Morales stole it from me a little bit, but you used the word belong. That's important to me, that you know that you belong. You belong in the community, you belong in the school district, you belong at your school, and you belong in that classroom. And for you to feel that way, it just warms my heart. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Clerk Rudolph.
Yeah, I just had a little bit to say about when our schools come here to do their spotlight, it's a spotlight to them, but to me, they become a star. One of the stars that belong to the Lawndale School District, and you make us so proud. I mean, you make us, it's like, we're going to have 8 stars up there pretty soon after we have all these 8 schools that are presented to us. But you make our day when you come and let us know that things are going, that we're not just sitting here and not getting things done for our students. And these students are just exceptional. I mean, everything is, I'm going to go home tonight and sleep wonderful.
Oh, I love
because
that.
and just think about of 2 stars so far. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips and Ms. Rudolph, both for your words.
May I say something else?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. I also want to acknowledge, and I'm sorry that I couldn't see him, and that's what, you know, it just.
Brian.
Brian Delgado.
No.
Barrios Delgado.
Barrios Delgado. Okay. All right. I just want to say, you know, that he has something that it's, to me, it's big, you know, and that is that curiosity. You know, I as a teacher, I always tell my students, be that George curious, you know, because when you ask questions, you know more. And the more you're curious, the more you know. I love the word he said, boost intelligence. I mean, unbelievable. You know, I just love, you know, his attitude about school, and I'm sure that he's going to do great things too in his life. So.
He was being very humble. I have to tell you, he opened up by saying, I'm pretty good. No, he's great. He is one of the top scorers in iReady for both language arts and math, right? He is doing great. Reclassified fluent English proficient. So we are very proud of Brian and all of our students here.
Superintendent Castro?
I can go on and on. I am so proud of Miss Whitaker and Miss Huff. And, you know, I have to share that when the position opened at FDR, Jenny came to me and said, Virginia, I want the school. I want to be the principal of the school.
I did.
And that passion and love and belief in your community, this is what you've reaped. So I'm so proud of you and the work that you've done. And I love that even our office manager is here.
Let's give a shout out to our TK teacher, Denise Bolton and Grisel
Bolton is
Rodriguez.
here. We have so many representatives from FDR tonight.
Yes.
And I will be visiting FDR tomorrow morning, so I can't wait to be there.
Yes.
I'll be there bright and early, and I'm going to visit all of your classrooms, so I can't wait to see you guys learning. And I look forward to my visit tomorrow. So thank you so much for being here.
Yes. And I wanted Baby Rogers, remember?
You did want Baby Rogers.
The Baby Rogers
Baby
coming from
Rogers.
Rogers, inheriting all of our beautiful FDR students. I said, oh, I just can't wait to work with those kids. Yes. And I'm just getting started. Yes.
Well, thank you for the presentation. I don't want to repeat everything that everyone else said, but I could. But I also want to thank Brian's mom, all the
Yes.
moms here tonight, because without you, these things can't happen. Not all learning takes place in a classroom. It takes place at home with families, experiences, sharing stories about culture and generations and things we want to learn and dreaming and all of those things. So I want to thank you. But I also especially want to thank Brian's mom because she wants to learn English and she's been talking to Miss Martha about taking ESL classes. So if you know anyone else who would like to take ESL classes through our school district in partnership with El Camino College, please contact Miss Martha or the district office. And are we full?
And we hosted at FDR.
Oh. So
yes.
it's easy.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I thought maybe I was speaking out of turn because maybe we were full, but apparently we'll make space according to our superintendent. Okay, we never close.
That's right. Okay.
And I'm really glad that I see Denise Bolton in the audience as LTA president and my good friend Wendy Morgan. Thank you.
Wendy Howard.
Wendy Howard. Why did I get Morgan? I've known you, I don't know, I've known you for over 10 years. I'm sorry. Don't tell your brother on me. Is there anything else about this presentation?
No. Just thank you for all your lovely, encouraging words. Looking forward to doing this again next year. Okay, thank
Well,
you.
you know I love your school because even though it's not my school, I call it my school.
It's your school, President
Thank you.
Coronado.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I don't know if I missed Mr. Ochoa sitting in the audience, but I'd like to introduce to the board in case they haven't noticed him and to the cabinet and to our audience. We have in the audience, I hope I say this right, Mr. Jose Ochoa, who is the representative for State Senator Laura Richardson's office. Is there anything you wanted to share with us? Well, I'll fudge a little bit and move the agenda around to my liking. Is there anything you'd like to share with us?
You already introduced me. My name is Jose Ochoa. I'm the field rep for the State Senator Laura Richardson. I represent the areas of Hawthorne, Lawndale, Harbor Gateway.
Would you come to the podium, Mr. Ochoa? Thank you.
All right, start from the beginning, right?
Please, make it easier.
All right. So, hello there, everyone on the board. My name is Jose Ochoa. I am a field representative for the State Senator Laura Richardson. She represents the District 35. The areas that I help represent are Hawthorne, Lawndale, the Harbor Gateway North and South, Lenox, and Harbor City. And I'm just here today to just see my first meeting for Lawndale here. It was pretty good.
Good.
Mhm. And I hope to bring more news about my senator and to get to know everyone here.
Thank you so much. We'll make sure you get a card from the superintendent's office.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Superintendent, we know a lot of the students probably have homework.
So I won't look if you get up and go. Okay, we will move on though slowly.
Thank you, FDR. Great job. Great presentation.
Thank you. Our next presentation will be a PBIS update and restorative practices by Alberto Paredes, Director of Student Services, and Maria Ruelas, District Social Worker. Do you want to say anything, Superintendent Castro, while they make their way out?
Whether I should bring up the.
No, I always feel, oh, that's terrible, Dr. Ruelas. Terrible.
was me.
We just need to keep you humble, that's all.
right.
It's always so hard for our district office staff to follow a school spotlight, so I apologize in anticipation.
Well, thank
But
you
I'm
for
sure
that.
your presentation will be
Thank
just
you
as
for that.
riveting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. President Coronado, Lawndale Board of Trustees, Superintendent Castro, Cabinet, Lawndale community. I'd like to thank you all for allowing us, the Student Support Services Department, to highlight one of the many practices that we are proud of. I am Alberto Paredes, Director of Student Support Services, and with me I have Dr. Maria Ruelas, who is our district social worker. I brought my computer as a backup. So in this presentation, we're going to explore what positive behavior and intervention supports is. It's just going to be a quick reminder. And then we're going to talk about what restorative practices are and how they come together to benefit and impact our students in a positive way. As you guys are all very familiar with the district goals, I'm sure you hear them every week. And but I just want to highlight that the work that we do within PBIS and restorative practices falls under our third goal, which is to improve parent and student engagement. So the work that we do is also MTSS work. It's all intentional work. We are under Ed Services. Those are some of the things that student support services do. But if you notice today, I just put the red. This is we're highlighting PBIS and restorative practices. All right, a quick refresher on what PBIS is. PBIS it's an approach where we set clear school-wide expectations for behavior and we address challenges constructively. Every decision is data-based. We look at how our students are, the needs of our students, whether it's behavior, social, emotional, we track data, and that's how decisions are made about which programs we go with and how we support. The support that we give is tiered, and I do want to clarify that we tier behaviors, not the students. So we don't say these students are in this tier. When we look at the behaviors, we're looking at the behaviors, and that's how we tier it. So just a quick sample of how the tiered behaviors work. Tier 1, it's clear expectations school-wide. This is constant positive reinforcement from staff, from teachers. I always say that when you're a PBIS school, you have no rules, you have expectations. So just to clarify, when I was a child, we were told, don't run on the blacktop. I was a smart kid. I'd stop running and start skipping. Many would see that as defiant, but I thought I was listening to the teacher. PBIS turns that around a bit and says, walk on the blacktop. Hear the difference versus don't run. So that's what tier 1 is. It also sets parameters, the if and thens. If you do this, then this is the consequence. If you do this, this is the reward. That is tier 1 and that is school-wide. At the tier 2 support, that's when we start working with smaller groups. We might have a few students that need a temporary check in, check out. You'll learn a little bit more about that. Temporary could be anywhere from a day to a couple weeks. At the tier 3 level, that's when we start creating FBAs, which are functional behavior assessments, to see what else a student needs, how we can support the student. We start looking at wraparound services, either within our school sites and possibly bringing in services outside. At that point, check in and check out might be a little bit more intensive. Sometimes it's daily, sometimes it's hourly, just depending on the needs. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Durelas. She will share about restorative practices.
Yes. So restorative practices is
an approach that we have with our students so we could rebuild any issue that has happened with the students at the school site, to build community and also to hold the students accountable. So it's not that we're not suspending, but we are trying to minimize that to teach students about their behavior, the core root. So the way we do that is through restorative circles, which I'll talk to you about in a bit, mediation between two parties or a group of students, and then we facilitate discussions because through communicating, talking, we learn what we did wrong. And so the process, how do we do that? So we ensure that all of our social workers, our interns, our teachers are part of this process, that we share, that we have a party discussing the two perspectives and what the emotions brought up, what kinds of emotions were brought up during that process. We have a resolution at the end of the mediation or the restorative circle. And the outcome ultimately is that we resolve the issues without punitive measures such as suspensions and expulsions. Once again, doesn't mean that we don't do that, but we're trying to minimize that so we can strengthen our relationships in the school environment. Oh, great. Okay, so once again, I know that there was a review of tiered approaches. We don't tier the students, but the behavior where we're at. So tier 1 supports. We focus, you have all decided and invested that we would buy the second step curriculum. The second step curriculum is a social emotional evidence-based curriculum that is used in the classrooms by our teachers, our social workers, and or our interns. It focuses on various things such as self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, responsible decision-making. So at the core of that, every single student in our schools at a tier 1 level receives something that's educational related to those topics. At a tier 2 support, so let's say a student, there's an argument, they would already would have learned that problem solving skills in the classroom at the tier 1 level. At the tier 2 level, we would implement what's called check-in, check-out, where a student is partnered with a trusted adult at the school site and they check in every single day. How are you doing? What are the behavioral expectations? How are we going to do today? Great, you reached your goal. Or what do we need to work on? So that's at the tier 2 level. At the tier 3, that's where, you know, some students may still need a bit of more support. So we have to place them on a behavior contract, or maybe we need to link them to mental health services. So that's a little bit more intensive. So at those 3 levels, we do address them. Second step would be an example. Tier 2 support check-in, check-out, and tier 3 would be like a mental health referral or behavior contract.
And just to clarify a bit, the tiers that I shared at the beginning were more about school-wide expectations. This is bringing kids together to restore after an incident.
Thank you. Okay, so what are the benefits of this? We want to strengthen relationships and community, especially now that we have our community schools grant. That is going to be our focus, strengthening that. We're going to reduce conflicts and discipline issues at the school site level through our PBIS, positive behavioral interventions and supports. And ultimately, we want to enhance the student engagement, accountability, similar to how you heard from our Tigers, FDR students. They feel welcome. They feel at home when they go to school. So why PBIS and restorative practices work? So PBIS, it's like Mr. Paredes said, it sets clear behavioral expectations and it addresses the why. We want students to feel heard. We want them to feel seen. And through restorative practices, we hear their perspective, how their emotions impacted them.
So essentially, I want to share the positive impact of PBIS and restorative practices. It supports student success. It increases engagement, improves behavior and attendance. I'm going to show you some of that data in just a moment. It enhances staff morale. The less stress they have in having to solve problems or help students solve problems, the happier they are and the more they get to focus on instruction. It builds a positive culture. You heard FDR. FDR has a very strong PBIS and restorative practice component to their school. In fact, I consult with them at times to learn about their practices, and you saw some of their pictures up there. There is a reduction in overall, there will be a reduction in suspensions and disciplinary actions because students are focusing on positive and they're starting to respect and have that positive culture within them. And of course, equity. It helps focus on the root cause of the behavior, not necessarily the behavior, because by understanding the root cause of the behavior, you're less likely to repeat it. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. All right, you see some negative numbers up there, but those are all good numbers. In this case, negative is good. That's why I highlighted in green, just so you can say go, go, go. All right, so our ADA, our average daily attendance, and this is comparing this moment in time to last year's moment in time. So February to February. Currently, our average daily attendance is at 96.92%. Last year was 96, so we're up 0.92%. You know, that was $1, doesn't sound like much, but when you're looking at students, that is a lot. Chronic absenteeism dropped by 4%.
Yeah.
Our suspensions have dropped by 12%. Our other means of correction, that means like something that might have been suspendable, the administration took a different route to correct the behavior. This is where restorative practices really come into play. That dropped by 8. And office referrals, this is the data provided. I do want to give a disclosure that it's not very consistent in the reporting. And we're going to work on that. That's the goal for next year. But the current office discipline referrals, this is when a teacher sends somebody to the office for a behavior, is at 887. Last year at this time, it was at 1,156, a drop of 269. Think about how much time has been saved and time for instruction has increased with this drop. Principals could focus on being in classrooms, being instructional leaders versus managing this school. All right, so moving forward, we want to maintain our ongoing professional development with both Trajectory of Hope and with LEGO PBIS. They are guiding us through these processes, and they too are using the tiered model. So every school receives training at their professional development at where they need it. We want to start working closely. Schools are already having monthly data review with their PBIS teams. Dr. Drelas and I want to get more involved in that process, and we're trying to figure out a way of maybe doing it at the district level and one team setting. We're working on that. Dr. Drelas and I have just become ACERs. We officially got certified to be ACERs. Those are authorized California external reviewers of PBIS. We can actually go to other schools and audit them now. We just got certificated a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, January.
Yeah, and we've already started going through the school, but we still need to familiarize ourselves with the new criteria. The recognition has changed. Where before it was seen, the criteria, you are rated based on that moment in time in that year versus like improvement. Maybe you improved in one area, but you decrease in another. So we're still trying to learn that. So this is where I was talking about. We want consistent use of a platform called Incidence Plus to track behaviors. As the schools become more familiar with this, we will be able to gather more concrete data. Incidence Plus really breaks down the data for the areas of concern, the behavior of concern, and it allows for the teams that, in fact, FDR is really good at using it already, where it allows them to track. We noticed that the second graders keep getting in trouble during AM recess. Let's go see what's happening, and then they just get ahead of it in a positive way. That's tier 1. we are implementing power school attendance, which will do the same thing for attendance that incidents that plus does for behavior. And we can't wait to give the California Healthy Kids Survey and analyze it to see what progress we made since last year. Final thought. PBIS and restorative practices play an important role in fostering a positive, inclusive school environment. Before I thank you for giving us this time, I wanted to make sure that I know that tonight our social workers are being recognized and it's so timely. And I wanted them to come back and hear this, even though they are behind 98% of the work that we do in this department and the restorative practices and PBIS, and they need to be commended for it. So I'm really happy that they're being recognized tonight.
It's actually next week.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
okay, it's all right, but,
Okay, well, you almost- I got ahead of it.
but
That's why I said
I'd
that.
like to read their names into the record, if you don't mind, Mr. Perez.
That?
I'd like to read their name into the record, if you don't mind.
All our social workers? Or-
Yeah,
or-
it's, if I get this, yeah, that's the ones in attendance, actually. Caitlin Michael, did I say it correctly? Kisa. Okay, thank you. I apologize. Vanessa Clark. Wandy Chu. And we have an intern with Carla. I'm not sure I have your last name right. So is there a Carla in the audience? Oh, okay. And then there's Monica. All right. Thank you so very, very much for being here. And we'll celebrate you today, but we'll celebrate you next week in thought because we won't be here. All right. Thank you. Did you say something, Mr. Perez? Oh, and Dr. Maria Ruelas, who's our district social worker. Yes, of course. Okay. Thank you.
All right. With that, thank you so much for allowing us to present tonight, and we welcome questions.
Mr. Morales, Trustee Morales?
Yeah, I'm gonna be the first. So no one steals my words
Yeah.
and comments. I look at the numbers and I circle them big, because, this is what we as a board and cabinet wants to see. We want to see academic percentage going up and undesirable behavior percentage go down. And that's the perfect formula to have great students in our, I like the fact that we have something solid in place, the before, during, and after, because I think it's important. If a kid is outside the classroom, it's like being absent. A day the kid's out is a day that he or she loses a lot of learning. And so having this in place is very, very important. And yeah, thank you. I wanted to acknowledge the social workers in the back. I know it's not easy, because sometimes these kids come and they are at the worst moments, right? They're not there because, they're being recognized, but because sometimes they have to be reprimanded. But just having words of encouragement, says a lot, and it takes student a long ways. And to know and understand that, there are ways to do things and there are ways not to. And finding the right words, you guys are well trained on that, and that's what is making the difference. So I want to thank each and every one of you for doing a great job in our schools.
Thank you. Trustee Phillips?
Thank you. I loved hearing about it. And it's obvious that you're really focusing on the children, not their behavior right now. I guess a little bit of behavior, but you're really focusing on helping the child. I love the fact that you have expectations rather than rules. Because you can only tell a child stop or don't so many times and then they blank you out. So to say walk and don't run, I used to do the skipping thing. But I'm not walking. On the restorative practices, I wrote down social media because I think that's a big thing that we're fighting. There's so much bad behavior on social media. And for you to come in with a positive message for the children really means a lot. And when you say that you're cutting down on expulsions and suspensions, I hear it from the teachers all the time, that if they're not in the classroom, they're not learning. But the fact that Dr. Morales, you said, is to build relationships. If they're there, they build the relationship with the teacher, as testimony to the 3 students here today. They have a relationship with their teachers, with the school, and they know they belong there, as Madison said. This is their home. So I think that's really important that you're focusing on the relationship. Teachers are focusing on the academics, and the two are hand in hand. Then I think it's my last comment. Because I like to do math, the outcomes and data, that office discipline going down, that went down 23%. If you look at the percentage of it, that's almost a quarter. That's really impressive. If you keep going on this trend, it's going to be a bigger percentage by the end of the year. So to look at the outcomes of it, this isn't just another program. This just isn't something else that we're going to try, but you're actually keeping the data on it, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Trustee Burris?
Yes. PBIS, what a great, I mean, it's just so important that the kids can be heard, and feel like they can go talk to somebody, because sometimes they don't even know what's going on in their heads, you know? I mean, I don't know what's going on in mine most of the time. But that positive impact is so important. Didn't I recall, was it at FDR where they have the breakout room or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every school has.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that, yeah, every school was then working on getting them. And that again, so important, because sometimes they just need a minute. Just, you know, as I've said to my own children, just give me a minute. Just let me think for a second, you know? And that's just so wonderful. And it's so important that we're looking at the way kids are learning now, the way they're thinking, the social media. I mean, there's just so much that these kids have to put up with. So much, life was so much more simple when I was a youngster back in
when you had a dinosaur,
the dark ages. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just so important. And I'm so pleased that, that you guys have continued to build on this, serving the whole child. And our social workers, you guys, I praise you all, because it's just wonderful how we're helping our children, especially since COVID. So, you know, we don't realize all the things that have affected us.
For Member Barris, I just want to clarify that those reset rooms are a prime example of a tier 1 support, because they're available to every student.
Right.
So a student knows when I'm feeling a certain way, this room is available for me.
Well, because for instance, like the one time that we were at FDR, there was a student walking around, and I can't even remember. I can't even remember who was the principal then, said, "Oh, do you need to go to the reset room? Do you need to take a break?" And he was like, yeah, I do, you know, but like, he just left the classroom, you know? So, I mean, I know we have those students, and I'm just so glad that we're focusing on them and giving them the resources to be better people, you know, to grow up. And so thank you so much for all that you do. I appreciate it. And the outcome data, I love it. That was good.
Clerk.
The only thing I want to say is kudos to everyone on a fantastic job. And then I want to say ditto, because I'm not going to go through the same everything else, but you guys are fantastic. Great job.
Thank you.
Trustee Phillips?
Yeah, I just add one more comment too, especially to the social workers. I know, because I had to present this, there are 28 different languages spoken in these 2 square miles. That's a lot of diversity in our schools. And the fact that you address the needs of every child at their level, in their culture, really means a lot. Because you're helping them, you understand them, you know they belong here, and you take the extra time to do that. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't know, I keep seeing you do something. I don't know what you're doing over here. Hand gestures? Oh, okay. All right, thank you. So I like to say, since I've been on the board the longest. I'd like to provide a little bit of historical perspective. A very impressive presentation. But I remember the days when we had 27 expulsion hearings, suspensions off the chart. And we started talking about doing PBIS under our former Director of Pupil Personnel, Jorge Arroyo. And a lot of the things that he envisioned then, I'm so happy to say that you guys have made it come true. Thank you. I can tell you from experience that a school district and a school can say they practice PBIS. But if it's just lip service, it does no one good. It doesn't support children. It doesn't support teachers. The learning environment is not what it should be. And a lot of times as a teacher in a K-1 combo, because I sometimes don't feel I get the support I should, and I hope my school district isn't watching right now, I don't know what to do sometimes. And I don't have anyone to turn to except to my principal. And he's got lots of the other things he needs to be doing. So from a teacher's point of view, I truly appreciate all the work you're doing. And even more so, I appreciate the outcome of all the work you've been doing. And again, I can't go without saying, because I used to say it all the time, Arroyo in the house. These are all things that Jorge Arroyo brought to our school district. And even our wellness center was a vision of his years and years ago. So thank you. Superintendent Castro?
I just hope you come back on March 6th where we are going to acknowledge you and give you a little certificate. So we appreciate all the work that you do. And I just want to acknowledge Alberto Paredes because he just got here and he's been an amazing addition to our team. So just really appreciate how you've just jumped in and have created this fabulous team. And of course, Dr. Ruelas is always amazing. So thank you all very much.
It is my pleasure. Happy to be here.
It's a good steal from Wiseburn. I just wanted.
I'm just saying.
And I'm hoping Weisburn's listening to this right now. Okay. Superintendent Castro, we have no correspondence, and I believe it's superintendent's report now.
Yes, and again, these are very hard acts to follow, but we will do our best, Cabinet. Thank you so much. So superintendent's report, we have some lovely pictures of PS Art Night at Anderson. ESMOA had a Dream Big activity at FDR in honor of Black History Month. So some pictures for your enjoyment. And then our next slide, enrollment has begun. These are the district mailers that were sent out to all of Lawndale and parts of Hawthorne and Gardena surrounding FDR and Twain. Front and back, it also lists all of our TK and kinder orientations. And we are also planning an additional evening orientation for parents who can't make it during the day. So I also wanted to share, this is our LESD branding video. So we're going to play that right now. So our tagline is building brighter futures. That's our prerogative. That's our job. There's so much culture and so many different ethnicities and languages and wonderful families that we serve here. As a child of immigrant parents and that connection that I had with these families, that is what made me fall in love with Lawndale.
We really want to set our children up for the best. You know, we as parents forget what it's like to first walk into a school. And what are some of those things that we can do right now to best set them up so that they have a successful experience in school?
This is the foundation. This is the gateway, the opening to their educational journey and path. And so how we engage them and make them see how learning is fun sets the trajectory.
It is part of the foundation of their learning to open up and become a citizen of the world, not just of our country, and learn and respect and have value for all other countries, communities, languages, and cultures.
It's our job to remove all of the barriers. Our inclusivity model, it doesn't matter if you have a disability or you learn a different way, you're welcome in our classrooms, and the teachers create that kind of environment.
Being given the opportunity to work with children when they're so young at such a vulnerable age and really be able to see the growth and the impact that high quality education and early intervention services can provide children with diverse needs, I think there's nothing more rewarding than that. We don't see Spanish as a barrier to overcome, but Spanish is an opportunity to learn. There's benefits at the individual level. I hope that kids really embrace the fact that they can take and tackle big goals like learning an additional language.
We make sure that the kids are okay mentally, spiritually, emotionally, so that they're ready to learn in our classrooms. And when you can't be with them and you have to work, we want to make sure that our kids are entrusted to responsible adults who are not only feeding them and taking care of them physically, but also providing them programs to entertain them and to enrich them. We have this obligation to make children be the best versions of themselves. And children just need one person to believe in them. But here at Lawndale, we have this entire community of individuals who have dedicated their entire lives to provide for the future. Let us be the people that help guide your children to be the best versions of themselves they can be. So that's going to reach families' accounts within a 5-mile radius of Lawndale, including Hawthorne, Gardena, West Athens, Lenox, and Inglewood. So we're hoping that this will encourage families to come to our district, explore options and the fabulous programs that we have. So our tagline is building brighter. Okay, I'm going to, sick of hearing myself say that.
Very very well done, Superintendent Castro.
Thank you.
All right, from the HR department, we are proud to announce we are at capacity of 150 RSVPs for our one-day hiring fair. We actually had to close it out a little bit sooner than the deadline to make sure that we're able to get through everybody on a one day. So we're really excited about that. And then for pending board approval tonight, you will see on my certificated report, it says TBD, but it is our community schools district coordinator will be Emily Lay, our pending board approval. And the next steps of the hiring process now since we have our district coordinator to start the hiring process for our community schools site coordinator. So we're really excited about that as well.
With board approval, when would she start?
July 1st.
So technically she'll start July 1st, but we're working on a transition plan. So we've already spoken to her pending board approval. If she were to get the position, she's going to continue supporting Rogers because we know it's going to be a huge loss for that school to lose her. She's been a fabulous asset to that community. So she's going to transition halfway in between. So she'll start doing the work now under the direction of Dr. Pamelia, but officially starting her position July 1st.
And we'll be flying the position of principal at Rogers this summer?
We will do it soon.
Oh. Okay, all right.
And just our current employment opportunities, we do have our teacher pools open for our most at demand right now, which is our dual immersion, our transitional kinder, and our special education pools. And then we have our classified as well for our district coordinator, district custodian, senior custodian, and SSA, SELPA Director of Financial and Operations. And you can always go to EdJoin or go directly to the Lawndale website and press on the career tab. Thank you.
And on behalf of the business department, first, just wanted to let the board know that there's a J13A form on tonight's agenda requesting for approval. This is a CDE form that will be submitted to CDE once the board approves it. It's in relation to the material loss, also known as attendance loss, during the week of the fire. Although the attendance, the fire wasn't in the South Bay, our attendance did take a hit. And by completing this form and submitting it to CDE, it will allow us to apply for some attendance recovery. So earlier today, Carla Bertrand, myself, the principal at Green, Rogers, and Adams met with Public Works, Lawndale Public Works, and Jason Minter from the city of Lawndale to discuss the upcoming irrigation project as part of the repair agreement that we have in place with the city. And so the plan is to first start at Adams. That project's going to start March 3rd, should wrap up by March 14th. Then they're going to transition to green March 17th, and that should wrap up by March 26th. And then for Rogers Anderson Park, we're in the process of finalizing that schedule because the scope of work is much bigger at that park. And once I get that information, I'll forward that to, I'll share that with the board. So in addition to all the great things that was shared tonight about FDR, I want to piggyback off of that and let everyone know that after last week's storm that hit us in the South Bay, I had a chance to stop by Bodger Park and to verify to see if there were any flooding that was taking place. I shared with the board a couple of months ago that we did do a repair to the drainage system. I stopped by earlier this week, and sure enough, there was no flooding after the big storm. And so very excited to share that with the board.
That's
No, we're done. Yeah. And the last thing I want to touch on is just give the board an update in regards to InterQuest canines. I had a chance to visit Adams this morning, walked with their administrator there, and they shared with me that there were significantly fewer student discipline issues related to paraphernalias and controlled substances because of InterQuest canines. They're at the point where when the students see the canines on campus, they are self-reporting and turning in stuff to the administrators because they don't want to go through the trouble of dealing with the canines. And so I was very pleased to hear that from the administrator, from Jessica Chumentowski. And so I just wanted to share that with the board.
And then from the Educational Services Department, I wanted to call to the board's attention some news that has come out in the national news about a new study coming out of, I think it was from some researchers from Stanford and Harvard and Dartmouth universities who had come together to study the impacts of the pandemic on learning across the United States. And so they took a look at achievement scores from 2019 all the way to 2024. And here recently in our area, highlighted was Compton for its dramatic increases in their achievement over the years. And so it caused me to kind of take a look to see, well, how does Lawndale fare? And while Compton has almost 17,000 students, so it's not really something that we can compare with their dramatic shifts, I did take a deeper dive and wanted to kind of show how their commendable growth is really attributed to their intensive tutoring, and they had extended learning opportunities as well. We also, when we look at our data, we've got some demonstrating some steady progress. And when we look at our CASP scores, as well as our growth data on the California School Dashboard, while we didn't have the dramatic shifts that caused us to be noted in the national news, what I would like to say is that when we look at our comparable districts, comparable to our size, it kind of provides some valuable insight into how our different instructional approaches are impacting our student achievement. So with the next slide, we can take a look at Lawndale. And again, it is really not a comparison in order to look at Compton with their it's a larger urban setting. So I want to be very clear that what I wanted to just kind of highlight in this slide is that we're starting at a different space than where Compton was. And so their dramatic shifts, which are very commendable, are moving in the right direction. Lawndale also is continuing to move in the right direction. And when we look at a comparable nearby district, you can see that Lawndale outperformed both Compton and this comparable district in both proficiency, which means just our straight scores, as well as the growth from 2019 to 2024. So we look at those scores. And so we are almost getting to the point that negative number means that we're still trying to catch up. A positive number means that we are a little bit ahead. The 0 means that we've maintained.
right? So where we have this broader context, when I take a look at this, it is significant, the growth that Compton made, especially where it started. And it does serve as what we could do with aggressive intervention in order to move the needle a little bit more. Now, while Lawndale hasn't experienced the same dramatic shifts, it did not begin from as far behind, and we're still continuing on a steady upward trajectory. Especially in English language arts, where we're outpacing both districts. So we are still continuing to attribute our success to our attention to Tier 1 and core instruction, and that they are laying the foundation for our continued growth. And so we want to be able to continue that and then look at further ways to accelerate our growth. And so really, it's just important for us to be able to look at proficiency and growth metrics when we're looking at data in order to move us forward. So I wanted to highlight that academic growth and that we are still moving in the right direction.
Thank you. Superintendent Castro?
That's all from the cabinet.
Thank you.
Approval of the minutes for regular meeting of February 6th.
I'll move. On a motion by trustee Burris, seconded by trustee Morales to approve the minutes of February 6th, the regular board meeting. Any comments, questions, additions, changes from the board?
No, ma'am.
Hearing none, please vote on your device. Motion carries 5-0. Superintendent Castro?
We have no expulsions or readmissions.
We are now to item number 6, consent items. And I'd like to read into the record, all items appearing under the consent items, SELPA consent items, superintendent action items, and SELPA superintendent action items are adopted by one single motion unless a member of the board or the superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the agenda and voted on separately.
Thank you, trustee Coronado. I'm bringing
President.
Coronado, excuse me. I'm bringing forth consent items 6.03 through and including 6.13 for approval.
On a motion by trustee Phillips, seconded by clerk Rudolph to approve and to ratify consent items 6.03 through 6.13. Any comments, questions, discussion from the board?
No, ma'am.
Hearing none, please vote on your device. Would you like a hand vote? Motion carries 5-0. Superintendent Castro?
SELPA consent items. I'm bringing forward SELPA consent item 7.03 for approval.
I'll move.
Second.
This is SELPA consent item.
Mhm.
Thank you. On a motion by trustee Burris, seconded by trustee Morales to approve. Don't tell me, SELPA consent items 7.03. Any comments, questions, discussion from the board?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am. Hearing none, please vote on your device. Motion carries 5-0. Superintendent Castro?
Superintendent action items. I'm bringing forward superintendent action items 8.03 through and including 8.10 for approval.
I'll move.
I'll second.
On a motion by trustee Phillips, seconded by trustee Burris to approve and to ratify superintendent action items 8.03 and including 8.10. Any comments, questions, discussion from the board?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Any comments, any item you'd like to highlight, Superintendent Castro?
No, President Coronado, thank you.
Thank you. All right, hearing none, please vote on your device. Motion carries 5-0. Superintendent Castro?
Superintendent action items, SELPA. I am bringing forward SELPA superintendent action items 9.03 through and including 9.04 for approval.
Move.
I'll second.
On a motion by trustee Morales, seconded by trustee Burris to approve and to ratify. Don't tell me. SELPA superintendent action items 9.03 and 9.04. Comments, questions, discussion from the board? No, ma'am. Hearing none, please vote on your device. Motion carries 5-0. We have no items removed for a separate vote. We have no items from board members. At this time, I will entertain comments from the board members, and today being February 20th, we're going to start with trustee Phillips.
Madam, I believe there's a board member who has to leave very shortly, so can I defer to him first and then I'll be second?
I was unaware.
Are you okay with that?
You can go ahead.
Oh, he says I can go ahead now. Sorry.
We can, trustee Morales, no, please go. Please go. I mean, please say what you need to say. And then if you need to be dismissed, please go with our blessing.
Well, thank you. I just want to say that we had some great presentations. We are definitely moving in the right direction, from the academics part to the behavior plans that we have, in place. I'm just glad and happy that we're doing a great job. Other than that, I just want to wish everyone a good night, and I would like to also be excused from the meeting at this point.
Let the record reflect that trustee Morales is now exiting the building,
Thank you.
much like Elvis. Okay, do you want to go back? Yeah, trustee Phillips?
Thank you for doing that, President.
I was unaware.
Okay, I know. Just a report up on LACSTA. We have a meeting this Monday. It is in person at Paramount.
Oh, wait, are these like packets?
By package, yeah.
Oh,
And there
sure.
should be one for the superintendent as well. For each board member and a super.
No, take the whole thing, Shirley.
Oh. And it's on the mathematics adoptions and the role of the school board members. We'll be reminded again that we are not the queen bees around here, although we do think we are. Oh, on the second page of that, I believe it's on the second page. Well, maybe it's on the third page. One of the pages that has the dates coming up. Yep, second page, I think, for you. So that you can have a reminder. They're always on a Monday evening. Some of them are virtual. So you can sit at home in your pajamas if you want to. And some of them are in person. But this Monday will be on the math adoption and the role of the school board. I think that's it. Oh, and I thank the business for paying our dues. We're a little behind. I kept looking and our name wasn't on there. Anyway, the other thing is that the SMOA, we saw some of their work that they've done in our schools and stuff. I really encourage you to go see their building. It's at 14929 Hawthorne Boulevard, right next to, there's a parking lot between them and WSS on Hawthorne Boulevard. But right now they're closed, sorry, until the 28th because they're doing some installation work there. But after that, I really encourage you to go see what they do in there. I've gone in a couple times. There's always something to do in the back of it. They'll teach you painting. And they do arts and crafts and stuff like that. So some of the stuff that's happening in the schools, they bring it there as well for the public to do.
Good. Thank you.
It's a really great organization and they're working closely with Rotary. Rotary's funding a lot of it for them. Yep. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Looks like my list says trustee clerk Rudolph.
Oh, expecting Kathy.
Nope. She has a plan.
Oh, okay. First thing I wanted to do is I wanted to bring up the contracts being lumped together. Maybe it's because I'm not as good at looking them up. And I'm concerned that the audience might not be we're not transparent to the other people. So I was just asking, possibly have a consensus to put that on a future agenda just for conversation.
It would be the board that would give that consensus.
That's what I'm asking. If they want to, fine. If they don't, that's also fine.
Well, I prefer it where we see the contracts, because it isn't transparent right now. We have to dig down a couple more levels. So it's a couple more clicks to see what contracts are there to be able to read them. However, I understand also that it's easier on staff and it's better for our time efficiency if we do it this way. So you want it to stay the way it is, or you know what, it's up to the superintendent. She takes care of the staff. And if it's better for staff and for time management, then I'll get used to clicking down a couple more levels. Okay, thank you. Of course, if we only get the hard copy like we did this last week, we can't click down. We have to be on our computers to click down. Okay, thank you. Trustee Burris?
I only look at the agenda and all the backup material on my computer, so I don't even have stuff delivered to me.
No.
Because I don't need. So go ahead. I guess I'm not understanding what you.
No, we don't have them delivered to us either, unless they come to everybody.
No,
It's
but
on the
Kathy,
computer.
but may I?
Yes. please.
Trustee Burris looks at everything on her
On my
computer.
computer,
She
yeah.
doesn't wait for paper or anything else. Everything is done digitally for her.
Right. So I just continue clicking to read something. It's fine for me, but whatever works for everybody.
Well, for me personally, I think it's fine as is, but I would ask that if there are particularly sensitive contracts that perhaps we need to highlight for the public as well as for ourselves, that whomever is suggesting that contract be passed or ratified, that department highlights the contract. Is that a fair compromise, do you think?
I think so.
I think so. And if there's one that's particularly complicated, that maybe you send the paper copy to us. Sometimes I find it easier to highlight a paper than to highlight my computer. So if that's a fair compromise, do you guys think that's okay? And again, we can review this in 6 months or so to see how we
Yes.
feel about this. So if we could note that we're going to review it in 6 months. Dr. Ho, did you want to add to something to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to share that any contracts or issuing of contracts or awarding of contracts related to construction, because those are usually pretty big contracts, those are listed on the agenda as a separate item. So I just wanted to let the board know that.
Okay. Anything else, Clerk Rudolph?
Well, the only thing I have is I do want to apologize to everyone here for my hand gestures that I was doing earlier. I happen to have a good friend in the audience, but being called out, and at least I wasn't on my computer texting or passing notes. So I don't feel like I did anything all that bad.
I didn't think you did anything bad, Clerk Rudolph. I have great peripheral vision. I pass all my peripheral vision tests. And I teach. So when I see action on the side of my face, it distracts me, or I want to ask what's going on. So that's what I did. I think we agreed when something comes up for us, we need to say what's going on. That's what I did. I said to you, and I'll look at the tape. I don't think I said it in an embarrassing way or calling you out. I think I said, I see something going on here. What is going on? I mean, how do I know that you aren't asking for help? I don't know. So, again, I did not say it to you in a mean or disrespectful way. It was a little disconcerting because I saw hands going and I didn't know if you were trying to get my attention or another board member's attention. And I admit, sometimes I pass a note for clarification. And I think sometimes as board president, as past board presidents, we sometimes have to communicate something with the superintendent or vice versa. And I apologize if I offended you in any way.
I truly do.
I'm actually the one that said she was making hand gestures and I didn't mean it.
No, she's the one that called me out, not
Well,
you.
she
And
just
you,
asked
and you
you.
added, so I got it from both sides. So that
It
was
wasn't
kind of-
again anything,
Well, perhaps if you'd explained that you knew a member of the audience and it was the daughter of someone that you knew, that might have alleviated that, perhaps.
I didn't know that that would embarrass her or not.
Well,
But at least, like I said, I'm doing what we agreed to. I'm turning my
Yeah.
cell phone off. I'm not texting, I'm not doing anything on the cell, and I'm not passing notes to anyone.
I don't think that's a practice of the board, but moving on.
Okay.
Is there anything else to come before the board? All right, my comments. I'm sorry, Kathy. I apologize.
not a problem because honestly, the only comments that I have is, as I said, and you weren't here the other meeting, but tonight I thoroughly enjoy the spotlights. We've had two really good ones now. I love we've had three. I'm sorry. Rogers, I forgot.
Smith. I think we're not good.
You're right. Anyway.
I thought it was just three, so I'm behind the.
Yeah.
I'm behind you. Thank you.
Anyway, maybe they weren't, I don't know if I recognize them as spotlights. I don't remember. Anyway, it's okay. I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. So, but I thoroughly enjoy them. I really love hearing from the students. And as I said in the last meeting, I think that we hear and understand more of what they're doing at the schools, having them come here and give us a presentation. So I truly enjoy those and just wanted to thank you for that. Other than that, I really don't have anything else to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before I make my comments, anybody else want to say anything?
No, ma'am.
All right, so I enjoyed the highlights. I don't think I have shirts for all the schools, so we might have to make sure we get them, or I get them, or I can pay for them gladly. I would be happy to do so. And I just want to thank the cabinet for, particularly Superintendent Castro, for bringing iReady to us. It seems to be working. The teachers seem to be adjusting to the plans that iReady generates for children and how to provide intervention for them and that kind of thing. So I thank you, Dr. Pamelia, because I know that falls under your wheelhouse. And thanks for hiring good teachers and thanks for watching our money. So with that, is there any other business to come before the board? So there is business to come before the board. I have a question. Is the training of teachers how to use a fire extinguisher in there? Oh, thank you. Someone does listen to me. Not other places. All right, thank you. Is there any other business to come before the board? Hearing none, we will adjourn at 7:16. Thank you. Kathy, thank you for this.